Joy Reid was the greatest thing that ever happened to us. I don't know what, but it's like half of our clips were Joy Reid clips, right? And Megyn Kelly lamented this moment in her own very unique way. Take a look at Megyn.
Tonight will be Joy Reid's final show on MSNBC. Single tear, white woman tears happening right here, Joy. She was officially fired over the weekend because she's a racist, horrible news anchor with no ratings. And that's really been the truth for a long time. MSNBC's under new management, and I guess they decided to come to grips with reality. The truth is, this is very sad news for us, as she's provided so much material over the years. I feel the way I felt when Brian Stelter got fired, but he came back, and you never know. I'm sure Joy Reid will wind up doing something where we will continue to get to respond to her absolutely insane POV.
She's 100% right. Listen, Joy Reid has been an awful human being to anyone who disagrees with her politically. She's only been nothing but horrendous and obnoxious to all of us. By the way, an incredibly divisive individual, because so much of her perspective and political point of view come from drawing very stark racial lines. Everything is racist with regard to Joy Reid. And if you're not the same race as she, well, you're a devil. That's pretty much how she presented the news on a regular basis. This actually is going to make a lot of us on our team have to work extra hard. I mean, Kevin McMahon, our producer, is probably actually going to have to put in a full day's work now, because we're not going to be able to just pull easy to grab low-hanging fruit Joy Reid clips. Sorry, Kevin, you suffer the most on this whole thing. But Don Lemon has his own podcast. You know, he's been fired from CNN. He's put together his own streaming show. Not quite the same production quality as Megyn Kelly, is it? Megyn Kelly is in a legitimate, beautiful studio, and Don Lemon is in, well, what appears to be a studio apartment. But he's got a little bit of a following still, I suppose, and he wanted to comment back to Megyn Kelly about her reaction to Joy Reid. Let's see what Don has to say.
So let me just say to Megyn Kelly, in my 30-some years as a journalist and my 50-some years as a person of color, go f*** yourself. Okay? I usually don't like to talk about her because she's one of those people, she thrives on it. She has built the second part of her career on being a troll. So this is what Megyn Kelly said about Joy Reid, right? And remember, Joy Reid is a woman, Megyn Kelly's a woman. She's supposed to be all about women and, you know, supports women. Okay, so this is what she said. Remember when Joy Reid laughingly mocked white women tears as pathetic and offensive to her? Who's crying now, Joy? Good riddance to the absolute worst person on television, and shame on NBC for letting it go on this long. And she has she is an axe to grind when it comes to MSNBC. And also, this whole, she's racist, right? It's just, I'm going to give you the evidence. Supposedly learned from it and then spent every day after apologizing for it and being fired for it, then spent every day proving the point that she is a racist and not very supportive of women. If you look, all you have to do, the evidence is in her Google search and what she says about women, how she calls them out all the time. The worst person. No, Megyn Kelly, the worst person on television was fired from NBC in the Today Show a few years ago, and that's Megyn Kelly. That's the worst person who's not on television anymore. Is you. That's the worst person who's not on television. So hurrah for that. NBC did something good with that. You know why? I like to give proof of things, evidence. Like when I said Donald Trump, the president of the United States, was racist, it wasn't my opinion. This isn't my opinion about Megyn Kelly. The evidence is there. I'm going to show you the evidence of Megyn Kelly, and that's just as I showed you the evidence of Donald Trump.
So Don Lemon, by the way, didn't bother to inform his audience the circumstances under which Megyn Kelly was let go by NBC News. He just repeated over and over again that she's a racist, she's a racist, she's a racist. I'll inform you because I have respect for you. Megyn Kelly did a segment on the controversy over white people wearing blackface for Halloween costumes and theater productions and what have you. And of course, she gave examples like Trudeau wearing blackface and Joy Behar wearing blackface and, other left-leaning liberal actors who have worn blackface for various reasons. And she said, I don't understand what's so bad about this. What is so, insulting about this, especially if it's not done in the spirit of mocking or making fun of. And again, I don't want to open up the whole controversy over blackface, but that was it. That was it. You know why Megyn Kelly really got fired? It wasn't because of that segment about blackface, and it wasn't about being racist. It was because she originally worked for Fox News. She had a track record of being conservatives. And even though at the time, by the way, she was anti-Trump, which made her welcome property over at NBC News, despite being anti-Trump, she still was very conservative at that time. And she presented conservative ideas in a way that people at NBC News got triggered over. And that's why she got fired. But see, here's what's interesting. Megyn Kelly got let go from NBC News, and NBC News paid off the balance of her contract. It was $30 million. And NBC News figured Megyn Kelly was done. We'll never see her again. She's got her money. ABC and CBS ain't going to hire her after being damaged goods here by being called a racist by her colleagues. And Fox News isn't going to hire her back because they parted company in a less than harmonious way. So we'll never hear from Megyn Kelly again. But see, here's what Megyn Kelly did. She utilized new video streaming platforms, got rid of the gatekeepers, and went direct to you, the consumer. Plugged in a microphone, plugged in a camera, and now Megyn Kelly is bigger than she's ever been. She's wealthier than she's ever been. And may I say, she has more influence than she ever did when she was on the network or when she was on cable news. Because again, she doesn't have to worry about gatekeepers. She can go direct to you. There's no filter. And she participates in what we call the democratization of the media. Now, have you noticed a trend here? Because I'm going to point that trend out to you because it's really informative as we look at Don Lemon in his studio apartment trying to do the same thing. And no doubt Joy Reid about to do the same thing. Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, also a very high-profile dismissal from Fox News. Does that end his career? No. He goes independent, starts streaming. He's got his own private network as well as social media platforms. He, I could argue, has more influence than he ever has and is certainly wealthier than he would have been had he stayed on cable news. How about Dan Bongino, who's in the news right now? You know, Dan Bongino had a weekend show over at Fox News, and Fox News decided to part ways with him as well. What's going on at Fox News? It's interesting how they keep parting ways with all of these pretty good broadcasters, podcasters, and communicators. Did that stop Dan Bongino? No, he built an empire with his podcast and his streaming platform. And now he's the deputy director of the FBI because, again, the influence and the platform that he had. Do you notice the trend here? You could say the same about Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly was dismissed from Fox News as well. Did he fade into the sunset? No, he did the same thing. He still got his platform. He still communicates. He still streams. On and on and on. You can name conservative voices, conservative communicators with conservative ideas that for one reason or another, they go sideways with corporate management and they end up going independent, doing their own thing, and they're bigger than ever. I'll give you another one. Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro was a radio talk show host on KRLA for Salem Media in Los Angeles. He got into a fight with management there. Management fired Ben Shapiro. Think about this. Management in Los Angeles decided Ben Shapiro was not going to have a future in talk radio. Ben Shapiro decides, hell, I'll go independent. I'll start my own podcast. Ben Shapiro's doing okay for himself. Do you see the pattern? What's next for Joy Reid? Well, probably the same thing that was next for Keith Olbermann, or the next thing that was going to happen for Chris Wallace at CNN, or how about Jim Acosta, or how about Jennifer Rubin at the Washington Post? How about Andrea Mitchell? How about Chuck Todd? All of these huge names from network and cable television who were liberals. And as soon as they get fired from corporate, they try to go independent and you never hear from them again. It's almost like there's not a demand for their content, but there is a demand for right of center America First content. The only way they had platforms, the only way they had a voice, the only way they had influence was to get propped up by the corporate media structure. And as soon as they get cut off, they disappear. Now, I could be wrong. Joy Reid might end up being the next big, huge streaming podcaster. But do you think that's going to happen? It really tells you something that as soon as you get rid of the gatekeepers and the corporate infrastructure, and you, the viewer, can go out of your way to connect with us, the communicator, right of center ideas start to flourish and expand and grow. And, well, before you know it, you're winning elections.